2018, Shark Tank. So I'm in the media business. I worked at ESPN, and a lot of people would ask me about, oh, is this person really like this? Oh, how does this work? All of like behind the scenes info that you have. So I don't know anything about Shark Tank and the TV production of it. So I'm curious if you can break the fourth wall, as we call it in the media, and just kind of let us know, what was that process like? How do you get on the show? How many steps is it? All that stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. I mean, there are 40,000 applications every year to the show, as they say, and only 150 are invited to film. And out of the 150 that film, 90 of those air. So it's pretty cutthroat. Again, kind of tapping into our previous topic about, reaching out and asking for help. When I was still 15 actually when I officially incorporated Detrapel. I was a couple months away from being 16. But I started Detrapel. I kind of created the website and all this, and did my initial MVP launch in February of 2014. And that same time frame, I cold emailed. I was learning how to data mine and do perfect kind of email crafting and stuff like that. And so I cold emailed Mark Cuban, and he responded, and that was how I got on initially. So he responded, and I kind of sent a follow-up email saying, like, thank you so much for responding. Kind of wrote way too long of an email, but he read it. And in the end, I also said that I was considering being on Shark Tank, because it was kind of like a lifelong dream of mine. I was always watching it when I was a kid. So he immediately ceased communication with me, because you're not allowed to have any communication with the Sharks prior to, and introduced me to the casting producers who followed my story for about 4 years. They were constantly asking me, like, am I going to be applying this year and stuff? And I wasn't ready to apply up until 2017, when I thought it was a good time for the company and where we were. And I did that. And once we applied, there was an initial application process. I think we were fast tracked though on a couple of items, just because of the nature of how I was getting on the show through the connection of Mark, and to the main casting producer, Mindy. And from there, I think, it was really brutal. There was several video submissions we had to do, like pretty much either one talking about the company, or two giving like a practice dry run of the pitch. At one point, they actually told me I was rejected, which was also literally, I think it was the day before, the day after. It was like one of the days, like right before my best friend passed away. So it was like horrible timing. And they told me I was actually rejected, which I didn't know why. And so I went, I was in Philly because of my best friend who passed. And I came back up here for an accelerator program that we were a part of that year. And so when I got to the accelerator program, literally like the next day I showed up, there was an open casting call in Cambridge, Mass. And so it was kind of a no-brainer. I just went to the casting call and said, hey guys, like I have an active application in, but I know you guys, giving me a pass, but I just wanted to show that, here we are, the company's, fine. And this is what we want to pitch. And I did the pitch. I waited about 7 or 10 days. I don't remember exactly, before following up. And then I got a call, like I sent a follow-up email, and 2 minutes later, I got a phone call on my cell from California saying, hey, these are your 2 like category producers or whatever. And we really apologize. You were actually accepted at first, but because you changed your application, there was a minor thing I had changed about who was going on at the time. We thought that you were actually dissolving the company, so we rejected you. I was like, oh, no, we're alive and well. Like we're definitely working. And so they were like, yeah, well, you're on, and we'd love to have you. And, we'd love to have you come film in August or whatever it was, September, which was in 2017. And then I filmed, and went through the due diligence process with the Sharks, which was brutal also, a lot of work. And then ultimately the episode aired in January of 2018.
2 key takeaways from that story, which is amazing. Thank you for sharing that. One, the cold email. I am a big proponent of the cold email, because what is the absolute worst that can happen? Worst thing that happens is no one responds, and you're like, oh, well, I wasted 3 minutes crafting that email and that person didn't respond. But Mark Cuban responds to it. When whatever his email when mcuban@gmail.com comes in your inbox, what was your reaction?
Yeah, for lack of better terms, like I shat my pants. Like, it was crazy because this was like my idol, right? Like,
Right.
this is who I grew up watching and seeing on Shark Tank. And when you're younger, especially, you start realizing, or you think that these people are like figureheads that are untouchable, like they're celebrities,
They're
right?
gods. Yeah.
Exactly. And so I got the email, and I was shocked. And now I kind of held it tight to me because I didn't, I wasn't going to run around and say, hey, I got an email from Mark Cuban or anything. But it was, what it meant to me was that, one, people are willing to help, and two, there's no reason I should not be doing this to anyone and everyone I think needs an email. And so I became like, that's kind of what I was known for, and kind of I think still am, is like, I'm the master at emails. It's what I do. I just email all day long. That's all I do. So yeah, I mean, I think there's no harm, like you mentioned, in cold emailing anyone, let alone someone, if you can find their email like that. What's the worst that's going to happen? They're not going to answer, or they'll say no. It's fine.
Yeah.
On to the next one.
Secondly, persistence. You get it was a false no, but you get a no that you were rejected from the show. I'm a big proponent of, I call it being pleasantly persistent, right? If always be nice in all of your following up, and don't follow up every single day, but be measured and be calculated. And all right, well, I sent them an email last Monday. Let's give it 8 to 10 days before sending a nice follow-up that's 2 sentences long, something like that. So it's awesome that you did that.
Yeah, no, I think that's key.
So when you were on the show, just kind of describe that taping, what was going through your mind as you are pitching it to Mark Cuban, your idol, and the other sharks on the show?
Well, it's funny that you asked that. So a couple days before you actually film in front of the sharks, which they don't know anything before you walk out. Like, it's a real show. Like, yes, it's reality TV, but it's real. You walk out, it's a real pitch. You're actually, actively looking for money. It was funny. A couple days before we filmed officially, I had to do a dry run in front of like 150 of their producers. It was a huge room. And this is a pitch I practiced like all the time, because I did a lot of pitch competitions in high school, and college too. And so this is a 2-minute scripted part. The only part that's scripted is when you walk in, you say, hi, my name is, X, Y, and Z. I'm looking for X percent for, Y, or I'm looking for X dollars for Y percent of my company, blah, blah, blah. So that is the only part, that like 45-second blurb is the only part that's scripted. So I walk in to the producers. I'm ready to give my dry run of my pitch, which has been also peer reviewed by my category producers, or whatever. I keep forgetting what they were actually called, but the two that were actually assigned to my company. And I completely forget everything after my name. Like, I literally just say, hi, my name is David Zamarin, and I forget everything. I completely blank. And it's the first time that's ever happened to me on the biggest stage, or, about to be the biggest stage of my entire career at that point. And I had done pitches to even more people than 150 in the audience. I don't know what happened, but it just couldn't click for me. And so I freaked out right then and there. I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And so I literally read off the paper. I couldn't remember the pitch. But that night I was so pissed at myself that I went home. I didn't even explore LA. It was my first time ever on the West Coast. I still haven't been back to California since then. And I didn't even bother going out or seeing the city or anything. I just sat in the room and practiced all day long. And then I went outside on the busy streets and just wanted to get distractions in while refreshing the pitch. So literally, I think it was like 24 hours of just straight up just rehearsing the pitch, to the point where like 2 days after, when you're supposed to go for the live thing, I was sitting and I thought things couldn't go worse, right? Like the woman who pitched before me in my segment was like 3.5 hours long, which is way over the average time period. So I was pushed to the evening. It was like 5 or 6 o'clock. It was already dark in Cali, which meant on East Coast time, I was 3 hours ahead. So this is like, I don't know, maybe 9 o'clock or so. And I'm like tired. I go to bed pretty early, I wake up early. So I'm getting pretty tired. I'm thinking the day cannot go any worse, because they're going to have to reinvite me again a different time, because this was the last day of filming. But lo and behold, I'm like the last person that they filmed that day. And so I end up getting in front of the sharks. And right before I walk out, I did a couple of jumping jacks, and boom, I just walked out there and killed it. Didn't even stutter. It was perfect pitch.